So we have basically seen three loops, right? While loop, do while loop, and for loop. Now the question is which one to use. In fact, during the discussion of these loops, we have talked about it, which one to use. But just to summarize things, see, if you have, of course, all the loops works in the same way, you can use any of them at any point. But the thing is, if you know how many iterations you want to go for, example, let's say if you want to print from 1 to 100, you normally use for loop. Because we know the numbers, right? Because in for loop, we mentioned all the three things: the initialization value, condition, and the increment decrement part. But what about reading a file? Because in reading a file, we don't need a counter, right? Because when you read a file, doesn't matter how many characters you have to pick up each character, right? So there is no initial point. It's just that you will read the file. The moment you have end of file, you will stop the loop. So using a while loop there makes sense. Can I use for loop as a while loop? Yes, we can. If you remember, we have seen a code where you can just give 2 semicolons, and in between the semicolons, you can put the condition. Even that works. When to use do while loop? Now, whenever you use a while loop, and if you think, hey, even if the condition is false, you still want to execute something, at least once, do while makes sense. But as per my experience, most of the time you're going to use for loop. If you want to read a file, read database, while loop makes sense. And I have hardly used do while loop in my entire career. But yes, there might be some use cases where you have to use do while loop. So which is the best loop? In terms of frequency of use, it will be for loop. In terms of the usage for database, files, network, while loop makes sense.